The first-person shooter has come a long way in the past 20 or so years, beginning with the genre-defining Wolfenstein 3D on the DOS, to a market that's now overpopulated with these damn games.
Helping pioneer this genre was David Doak, who created the revolutionary GoldenEye 007, and later the acclaimed TimeSplitters series.
Today, we are focusing on the best in the series, TimeSplitters 2, and examining whether it has stood the test of time in our current modern landscape.
Firstly, let's focus on the narrative. TimeSplitters begins off in the future, where a war between humanity and an alien race known as the TimeSplitters is taking place.
Bent on destroying humankind, the aliens are using time crystals to travel through time and alter the course of the human history.
It's up to you as Sergeant Cortez to travel back in time and stop their plan succeeding. The story is simplistic, but entertaining thanks to its cool artistic style and some zany voice acting.
Nicolas! Shh, shh, shh. We shouldn't be in the research center without security clearance.
When you travel back in time, Cortez takes the form of someone else from that time period, such as a Russian woman and Denzel Washington.
This feature helps keep you engaged as you wonder which new character you're going to play as.
In terms of gameplay, TimeSplitters 2 is your standard FPS. You'll run around, shoot enemies, and complete various objectives, such as blowing up satellites or draining whiskey barrels.
While the basic gameplay remains homologous throughout, the varied environments and constantly changing weapons keep things fresh. I mean, when was the last time you could fire an AK-47, a Tommy gun, and a laser blaster in the same game?
Ratchet and Clank.
No, you don't fire a Tommy gun in
Ratchet and Clank.
You know you don't. One of TimeSplitters' strengths is its more open-ended gameplay than most modern shooters. You see, TimeSplitters 2 is all about options, giving players the freedom to complete different tasks. Does one walk into a room and take on 2 defensive turrets head-on, or does one sneak behind the turrets and take them out from the rear?
Like in Ratchet and Clank All for One. The reliance on options also transfers to the multiplayer portions of the game, and still to this day, remains one of the most customizable multiplayer games ever made. You can alter just about everything. Time limit, score count, how many bots should be in the game.
The actual matches are still a lot of fun, and its fast-paced, over-the-top gameplay easily makes it one of the greatest multiplayer experiences you can find.
Overall, TimeSplitters 2 offers a lovely, robust package, with plenty of modes and things to do.
We forgot to mention, it also includes a level editor, so you can make your own maps for even more shooting and killing.
Control-wise, this is where the game begins to show its age. Moving around the world is still smooth and responsive, but the aiming controls is where the game falters.
Trying to pull off a headshot feels twitchy and not very precise as you try to move the cursor over the enemy's head. You eventually get used to it, but compared to modern games, it's definitely more effort than it needs to be.
True, performing a headshot in real life isn't easy, but this game isn't exactly meant to be realistic. I mean, it features zombies for goodness sake.
Although, with those cannibal attacks going down across the East Coast, maybe it is.
Graphically, TimeSplitters 2 is a great looking game with a fantastic comic book inspired art style that really bursts life into the characters. I mean, check out the way Denzel moves his cigarette in his mouth. One more time. And again. Amazing.
The game does look a bit rough around the edges here and there, but in general, it's pleasing to the eyes. Eyes! Which is all that's important! The music is killer. Seriously, each of the game's tunes are highly distinctive and perfectly match their respective level. Many of the tunes are so cool that they will become locked in your head, like a brain freeze. However, they probably aren't sing in the shower worthy.
So looking back, TimeSplitters 2 is a polished bundle of pure run and gun fun.
While it may lack the precise aiming and depth of more modern shooters, TimeSplitters succeeds them in many other areas. The game offers much more freedom, and the level of customization in multiplayer is second to none.
On top of that, the game's just pure fun, not relying on foul language or gore to sell it. So, is it really dated?
The answer is no, to an extent. It may feel dated in some areas, but this is still a terrific shooter that's worth picking up pre-owned. And besides, it's probably the best local multiplayer shooter ever. You hear me? Alright!